shine, and LED
so
spotlights
angry!
illuminating those hard-to-see areas?
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah, I
James!
bet you could use that!
Ah!
I am going to use this to shave your head.
Hey guys, my name's Dan, and today's reaction comes from Dead Meat. This is Saw X 2023 Kill Count. Now, this is one of those movies that I have been thinking about seeing, but I've really just been waiting, I guess, and then kind of went into the back of my mind, and I just sort of forgot about it. And then I heard, oh, well, James is doing this as a kill count finally, because I think the writer's strike is over. They reached a settlement, something like that, so we're actually able to finally talk about this movie, and I'm so glad I waited, because it's really, really fresh in my mind, and I'm really, really excited to talk about it, and I will explain why throughout this video, and then at the very end of it as well. But before we get into it though, please do check all those links I have for you down in the description below, more specifically Dead Meat's link if you haven't already. It's a great way to support him, and a great and easy way to support me is by going right below this video, clicking all those buttons down there. This doesn't let you see future reactions that I do, but also helps my channel to grow. And without any further ado, let's go.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims
nice
in all our
little
favorite
suit
horror
there.
movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Saw X, or Saw 10, released in 2023. Saw X
Looking like
sees
a
the return
doctor.
of John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, even though he died 17 years ago, or 7 movies ago in franchise terms. He appeared in Saws 4 through 8 via flashbacks and cassette tapes he conveniently recorded before his death, but he sat out the Chris Rock-led Spiral, only having a cameo in picture form. Spiral was the first Saw film with the story completely divorced from John Kramer. The first 7 Saws were released literally once a year from 2004 to 2010. They form a beautiful, messy soap opera, with every installment adding to the interwoven web of characters. The 8th film, Jigsaw, released later in 2017, kinda sidestepped the continuity, technically taking place before all the other films, and it introduced a lame-ass, needless character. Will we ever see Logan again? I don't really care. But Saw X is back to basics, y'all, and takes place between Saws 1 and 2, back before John Kramer got his neck slit open with a saw. Though he's clearly older if you do a side-by-side comparison, I will happily pretend he's the same age if it means we get Tobin Bell in a starring role. Bell is 80 now, and gives an incredible return performance as John, humanizing him more in a single film than 8 others managed to combine.
Hell yeah, dude.
When I saw kill counts from 5.5 years ago, yes, time is scary. I often made fun of John Kramer's self-righteousness.
Killing is distasteful.
Murderers say what? But Saw X gives you the most jiggy perspective yet, with Bell exploring the character's inner emotions.
My job is to bring humanity to John Kramer.
Helps too that he's up against an absolutely evil monster. Makes it easier to root for him than when his victim, like, what was it, took antidepressants?
You're the type of person who swallows antidepressants to hide the pain.
Yeah. Saw X was touted as a return to form for the series. It styles itself after the annual installments of the mid to late aughts.
1, 2, 3, and 6 are the ones that are kind of relevant to this story.
They got the perfect guy for the job too. It's directed by Kevin Groidert, who edited the first 5 films and Jigsaw, and directed parts 6 and 7. If anyone knows the series, it's the person who edited it. And Groidert makes sure Saw X is rewarding, with plenty of nods to series lore. Groidert was joined by other veterans of the franchise, like composer Charlie Clouser and producers Orrin Coles and Mark Berg, who have headed the series from the very beginning. And writers Peter Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg wrote Jigsaw and Spiral, which aren't my favorites, but they do a great job this time through.
Yeah,
On
agreed.
screen, we get a return of Shawnee Smith as Amanda
Yeah!
Young, Kramer's
I'm so
protege.
happy to see her
Amanda
back.
was a powerful presence in the OG trilogy, and her relationship with Kramer gives this film a beating heart. Smith and Bell have 20 years of chemistry between them, and Saw X wisely highlights it.
I just wanted to see them on screen together, doing their thing and showing their love for each other.
Even though it's a throwback, Saw X is also refreshing in many ways. It's quieter and more contemplative, especially early on, so much so that it might come off as slow-paced to some. I think it's beautiful and makes for an excellent setup to the later carnage. It also takes place in Mexico, the first time a Saw film has ever specified its setting. I always joke that the series takes place in Cityton, capital city of state. The change in setting is a breath of fresh air, and gives us a nice taste of culture that helps it stand out as its own installment. I love the Saw series, and I love Saw X, way more than the 3 installments that came before it. It's got everything you could want from a Saw film, including, yes, plenty of traps and kills.
Oh yeah.
So how's about we finally...
Yeah, oh.
Sorry.
You alright? You okay? You need to... uh-oh. Oh! James! James! Oh, it's today's sponsor! Oh, no!
James A. Janice, you spend your
But
life
it's Zorin.
surrounded by horror. But now, you must experience true horror if you wish to be free and by
I
your
love it.
own tools.
Zorn, what the hell are you... Wait, you think you could torture me with today's sponsor,
Yep.
Manscaped?
Yep.
Ha! Please. What you've got there is the Manscaped Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. It takes
Love
your
the
grooming game
little
to the next level.
electronic
and
drum
I know
kit back there.
everything that's inside.
It's pretty
Like
sick.
the Weed Whacker 2.0 for taming unruly nose hairs. But with skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts, it won't be doing you much good. Then there's the Crop Soother Aftershave, made to soothe razor burn and itchiness as hair regrows. Can't say I'm too afraid of that. Or are you thinking the Crop Preserver's clear, drying, quick-absorbing lotion with soothing aloe vera will really break me down?
No, don't be ridiculous. I'm going to make sure.
You're gonna go for the big guns, huh? The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra?
Yes, exactly. And that is where I'm going.
What? Upgrade your grooming routine with its 2 interchangeable skin-safe blades, waterproof design, and LED
so
spotlights,
angry!
illuminating those hard-to-see areas?
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah, I
James!
bet you could use that.
Ah!
I am going to use this to shave your head. That's right. Gonna cut off your pretty boy locks if you don't reschedule They Talk Season 2. What do you say to that, James?
Okay, man, there was a strike. Calm down.
All right.
How about February?
Cool.
Oh,
Works for me.
all right.
Ooh, I better get shaven. Ooh, my spirals.
Spiral.
You don't need to torture yourself with great savings this holiday season. Head over to manscaped.com and get yourself or a loved one the ultimate grooming experience for 20% off plus free shipping with promo code KILLCOUNT20.
All right, now that that's taken care of, let's get to the kills.
Yeah, let's do this.
The movie begins with an old friend. Yep, that's me, John Kramer. Bet you're wondering how I got here. It's because of the cancer. As John waits for his latest MRI
Great
results,
impression.
we get a title card that doubles as an assessment of his prognosis.
Months, at best.
Yep, that sucks. John does the things the dying are supposed to, like attend group sessions, but it doesn't leave him too impressed.
So your advice to me is to die easy?
He'd rather get jiggy with it and teach this hospital custodian a lesson when he sees him robbing a patient. That's a good way to get yourself trapped.
I've had my eyes on you, and I do not like what I see. I'd like to play a game.
Just like that, we're back in Trap Town. For the crime of having sticky fingers, this guy's gotta break all 5 of his in under a minute. If he fails, his eyeballs will get sucked straight out of his skull. And pro tip, you don't want that. Instead of
No,
doing them all at
definitely
once,
not.
this guy breaks each finger individually. When he fails, the trap follows his lead, sucking out his eyeballs one by one through them tubes. Looking like little ocular gerbil guys. It's all great fun, of course. But alas, turning this dude's head into a bowling ball is but a daydream. He escapes John's fantasies by second-guessing his ne'er-do-welling.
Good choice.
John visits his nearest Panera Bread to write his last will and testament. There, he runs into Henry Kessler, a guy he knows from his support group. Henry had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, but now it's completely gone thanks to an experimental treatment. He's all good now, and all it cost him was a tummy scar. Henry gives John the name of his miracle doctor and sends him on his merry way. At home, John researches Dr. Finn Peterson using his favorite search engine, web search. Well renowned for its easy to remember URL. Through trusted sources like Article 3 and Article, he learns that Dr. Peterson's techniques are a bit controversial, just like Henry warned him.
Hell, it isn't approved by anybody.
Dr. Peterson practices out of Norway, which is where Henry said he went to get healed. Lovers of Saw's soap opera elements, like myself, were thrilled to hear this, since it directly ties into Saw 6, the healthcare one, which was also directed by Kevin Groyden.
Yeah, there
it's
you go.
one of the best Saws, and in it, John tried to get his insurance to cover this very treatment.
I found a treatment for my cancer that I think holds a lot of promise. This is a doctor in Norway.
I know the technique he describes is slightly different, but I'll chalk that up to a minor continuity
Yep,
error. The
agreed.
filmmakers intended for this connection to exist, and a deleted scene shows John emailing William Easton. In fact, I think they were going to include the scene from Saw 6 here before ultimately deciding to leave it implied. Of course, Saw X doesn't take place in Norway, since Finney Peterson's been run underground. His work is being carried on in Mexico by his daughter, Dr. Cecilia Peterson. In a video, she says Big Pharma and Big Government are keeping her daddy down. But come to Mexico and get a drug cocktail and just a wee bit of craniosurgery. You know, just a little knocking on the noggin. John has found a sliver of
little
hope
knock.
and clings to it as he sends Cecilia a desperate email. His apparent email address, kramerjohn994@gmail.com, was set up in real life to respond in character with an out-of-country message and a phone number. Calling that number led to a pre-recorded message that asked you to play a game.
Thank you for reaching out. A very brave thing to do.
Cecilia gets back to John
That's
and
cool.
says he can have a spot in their
Love
next
stuff like
vaguely
that.
legal testing session. He hops on the next plane to Mexico. You can tell because everything looks like Breaking Bad. He's picked up by a cabbie named Diego, who gives him a scenic tour of the city. Production filmed on location in Mexico City, and it really opens the movie up. I don't know if John's interested in a tour right now, though. I think he's got other things on his mind.
Yep.
Like cancer.
Sure.
Literally. All of a sudden, the tour is cut short by armed jignappers who threaten John at gunpoint. After confirming his name, though, they reveal this is just a part of the onboarding process. A super secret security step / epic prank bro. They take him to see Cecilia, and the doctor is in a giant mansion, and also a disused chemical plant. There, she hides from big pharma assassins with her staff. There's Gabriella, a housekeeper and former patient, Valentina, a nurse, Mateo, a surgeon, and Carlos, a kid who kicks soccer balls against a wall. Crucial part of the operation.
Oh,
In an
yeah,
operating room
100%.
designed by Joe Goldberg, John meets Parker Sears, Dr. Peterson's latest success story. They play rock, paper, cancer.
Thyroid cancer, advanced. Brain. You in?
Ah, yep, brain always beats thyroid. Later that night, Cecilia makes small talk with John, who says he's a retired civil engineer and architect. Lately, he's taken up hobbies.
I help people overcome inner obstacles.
Sure
Inner
do.
Obstacles like having depression. John can't sleep before the big day, so he wears himself out teaching ball bouncer Carlos how to fix his bike and get a girl's attention.
Jala.
Let me holla at ya. When it comes time to cut the cancer out, malignant style, Dr. Cortez won't let John sleep through the surgery. Instead, he has to be kept in a drug-induced fugue state as he watches them cut into what's either his brain or some blueberry cheesecake. Eventually, he conks out and wakes up to good news. He's as cured as bacon. Now, his whole life happens next. Tobin Bell is magnificent this entire film, but this scene really highlights his acting acumen. He returned for his 9th appearance as John Kramer because he liked Stolberg and Goldfinger's script.
The script for this particular film is very strong. Perhaps one of the strongest Saw films.
Still, Bell found himself rewriting some of John's dialogue on set. The writers were cool with it, thankful for Bell's 19 years of experience knowing what the character would and wouldn't say. John's instructed to take a daily drug cocktail and never...
And that's not something you really hear a lot happening. Normally, you know, it's just what's on the script is what's on the script. The fact that they had that much trust in him is pretty amazing on both sides.
Any circumstances, take off that head bandage. But they didn't say anything about taking off all the rest. Looking good, Tobin, who is again 80 years old and still so agile.
Great shape.
Now John's free to live and get back to making torture acts. But wait a minute, he's got a new lease on life. Maybe he shouldn't kidnap, torture, and murder people? You probably recognize that doodle as the rack trap used on Timothy Young in Saw 3. I wonder if John had to go dig through the trash later to get his plans for it back. John wants to be a gift for his saviors, and though they try to keep their location secret, they must have forgotten this motherfucker's an engineer with some trigonometry, which you said you'd never use. John is able to track down Peterson's healthcare hacienda, but he finds it completely abandoned, except for flickery lights and evidence of bamboozling. He discovers that the surgical footage he saw was from a DVD. This whole damn thing was a ruse, a cunning attempt to trick him. In a final moment of confirmation, John removes his wrappings and finds no surgical scars. I mean, they didn't even bother to shave him. It's taken 30 whole minutes to get to this moment, but I truly think the buildup is worth it. It lets us understand why, for the first time in the entire series, we see John Kramer in a panic. His new lease on life has been broken. All that's left is for him to play a game of revenge. John starts with Diego at one of his tour stops, the statue of the Mesoamerican god Tlaloc. He shows Diego he's been using Duolingo.
¿A dónde vamos?
Al infierno.
The cabbie wakes up to find that John's given him bomb implants in a trap that references one in the video game Saw 2 Flesh and Blood. John tells him he knows
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Diego not only drove John into the welcoming committee, he also played the part of Dr. Cortez during John's drugged out surgery. Now the pseudo-surgeon's gotta cut these bombs out of his arms in 3 minutes, and those wires are tough. Good thing forearm meat is tender.
Live or die. The choice is yours.
After a short delay, Diego goes to absolute town on himself. God damn, it's so gushy! This is a nice, disgusting return to well-done
yeah,
torture
it's
porn. It's so sick.
again,
even
I'm
Jigsaw
doing this
has
a
to avert
lot,
his
but
eyes.
it really
the
is.
prosthetics for this one are impressive and gross. I mean, I've probably got to blur this even as I explain and
Yeah,
show how
yeah,
fake it is.
I wouldn't
Don't
look at
blame
that
me,
too closely.
blame YouTube. I'm telling you, I love this shit. Diego
Yeah,
rips
same.
out the second bomb with his teeth, giving him a rare fate for a Saw victim. Success. Father Jigsaw approves.
You shall live henceforth as Eduardo Manos de Tijera.
With intel from Diego, John starts collecting los cómplices. First is Valentina, the faux nurse, who's apparently given up blood work for sex work. She's getting assaulted by a John when someone comes to the rescue. Whew, good thing someone's looking out for her.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, wait, shit, yeah, never Never mind.
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
Pseudo
that
surgeon
checks out.
Mateo is a veterinary assistant who also deals drugs to Gabriella, the fake housekeeper. Fuck, I love this set. It's classic Saw. Look at those cheap doors opening to cheap lights out there, with colored lights washing over everything.
So good.
It's a great way for the style to match the soap opera elements, and it feels right at home with the rest of the series. Cinematographer Nick Matthews, who shot the trippy Spoonful of Sugar for Shudder, was committed to making Saw X match the look of the original run.
We wanted to bring the giallo color palettes into this movie.
Gabriella leaves with her drugs, and Mateo gets all pinned with a cattle prod, pickle prod. Gabriella takes her ketamine or whatever to the nearest public bathroom, where she's blocked in by a big pair of botas.
Está ocupado.
She takes out her mace, but that robot pighead hits her with a door and is all like, "Stop macing yourself! Stop macing yourself!" With the cronies captured, that just leaves Dr. Peterson, who's already selling more false hope to desperate people.
I'm not an angel.
Angel wasn't the word I was thinking, lady. Oh, damn, that's a big house. Oh, shit, I said goddamn, that's a big house. Wow. She starts playing Cinco Noches and Cecilia's, where we get a very well-constructed scare. The audience notices before her that there's someone on her roof, and it ain't no Santa Claus. Damn, people in glass houses shouldn't fuck with John Kramer. By the time she gets to her garage, Pighead is already waiting in front of the car. And in the back seat. There'd be 2 robot pigheads in these parts. Which, I mean, is pretty obvious. Not like John Kramer was charging people with a pickle prod like that. Nope, he had a helper.
This is my associate, Amanda.
Amanda Young is back, baby!
Hell
She's
yeah!
Such a great character. And was a damn good contender in the first ever Horror Royal Rumble. Make sure you tune in for the second one on January 20th. I'm just
Hell
gonna
yeah.
wonder why they've got her in that little boy wig. Her hair has literally never looked like that at any other point in the series. Why not give her a dignified de-aging with a backwards cap, like a decent human being? Timeline-wise, this would be after Amanda escaped her bear trap test, but before she took the plunge, literally, in Saw 2's trap house, where she worked for John undercover. So, still early in her apprenticeship. Since Peterson's abandoned chemical plant is exactly John's whole vibe, he uses it to stage the group trap portion of the film, which was always a highlight throughout the series. Remember the collar one from Saw 5? Good times. The latest players wake up with a whole lot of questions. Why? Well, actually, it's mostly that one. Instead of hiding behind cassette tapes and creepy dolls, John shames these people face to face. I mean, everyone already knows him anyway. Some react with hysterics, others with panic dread, while Cecilia stays a carny until John shuts that shit down.
We're only trying to help you.
That game is over. And a new game's about to begin.
Valentina is the first one to be challenged in a trap using a Geely saw. John says it's a bone saw named after its inventors, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. In classic Kramer fashion, he claims he won't be responsible if Valentina dies, and that it'll be a good lesson, blah, 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 blah.
This is not retribution. It's a reawakening.
So, yeah, he's still the same old self-righteous asshole, but
Yep.
it's easier to sympathize with him against charlatans who steal the
100%.
last thing terminal people have.
Oh.
And Cecilia's been doing it a while, 8 years, with 34 prior patients, all of whom died. For her part in the scam, Valentina must cut off her leg and suck out 3 ounces of marrow in just 3 minutes. If she doesn't, she'll fall victim to the Beheader 5000.
You'll make it. So long as you keep your head.
Amanda, get out.
It's such a good line. I love it.
The show. Bell's performance here is the most convincing he's ever been as actually wanting these people to succeed and change their lives. The timer starts and Valentina's off to a bad start, but eventually Turner hits her leg and Turner gets to sawing the dang thing off. Back and forth now, Valentina. Keep a rhythm. Think Gili, Gili, Gili. Yeah, sure. Just imagine that you're essentially milking a cow. Yeah, act like you're puppeteering a John Wick puppet show. Eventually, she fully severs her leg and is able to stick this dental-looking hose into her stump. It sucks out the marrow, which begins to tip the scale since it's the cream of the blood. Ew. Despite her valiant effort, she doesn't deposit enough bone jelly. The razor moves forward and cuts her head off in a decapitation that feels extra deliberate and ghastly. Man, she was so close, too. Not a snooze button, man, are you, John? I guess that's lights out for Valentina. This death was probably the most complex kill in the movie.
Even in my 20-plus year career, that's one of the hardest gags that I've personally done.
It took 3 whole days to shoot, starting with actress Paulette Hernandez using a real saw on her real leg with a protected pad underneath. After plenty of footage of that, and I mean a lot of it, she hid her real leg in a hidey hole and flossed away at a fake leg,
Yeah,
which is
that
filled with blood
figured
pumps and
that.
a prosthetic femur made by Fractured FX. The effect is so seamless, even director Groydert can't tell where the makeup ends and the prosthetics begin.
Yeah,
So
it's a
that
great job.
leg
is fake.
To top it off, or to off her top, I guess, a full body and head prosthetics were rigged with monofilament to fall apart on cue and go where they needed to for the shot and the story. Tied together with Hernandez's great performance, her first ever in English, the complete effect is nothing short of a magic trick. Almost impressive as the fact that Greutert used everything they shot in the final cut.
I don't know what the MPA was thinking, but I'll take it.
The decapitation really kills the
Yeah, I
mood.
bet.
Gabriella blames Cecilia,
They're usually pretty
while
strict.
Cecilia blames the young girl's oxy habit. That rubs recovering addict Amanda the wrong way.
Sometimes we get sucked into things that are against our nature.
This is a more vulnerable scene than John and Amanda ever shared in the other Saw films. Amanda's still damaged and scared, like she was in the first movie.
Listen, I'm not ready to do this without you.
But disagreements over victim qualification will lead to her rebellious sarcasm we saw in Saw 3. We get to see this evolution since this is the first Saw that stars John and Amanda as the two biggest characters. Every other Saw splits its story between a trap plot and a cop plot, each of which have their own non-John and Amanda main characters who take up most of the time, especially when they're motherfucking slow. In Saw X, it's just these two and their victims, which I love. Greutert was happy they narrowed the focus too.
The cops were starting to really bog us down.
As for their victims, Cecilia's phone starts ringing in the middle of the room. It's out of reach, but she figures out a way to solve that little problem. You wanted a surgery, John? Here's a surgery for you.
Yeah,
Full on
get a
intestinal
rope.
extraction.
Rope.
Damn, she cut up Valentina like it were arts and crafts time on February 14th. She evil. Valentina's tract may look like a dirty, disgusting nerd's rope, but it gets the job done. I love how Cecilia finishes pulling it towards her with a little ta-da. She calls someone and says a few Norwegian words before getting bad dog by Amanda. Look at this mess you made, bad dog. I'm surprised Amanda doesn't shove her face in it. All of a sudden, they hear someone yelling outside the factory. It's Parker Sears.
Open this fucking door!
John's former
How
fellow
very
patient from the
convenient.
UQ Medical Center is here and says he's also mad about being scammed. So mad he could shoot a pig, which he does. Before he can run away from Valentina's severed head, Amanda knocks him out. He comes to a little later, tied to a chair. Hey little boy, let me go and I'll help you with your homework there. John expresses sympathy towards Parker as a fellow sucker. Still, he says Parker's gotta play a game too. His only rule right now is no guns. Parker agrees, but says he doesn't condone what's going on here.
We don't kill.
You chopped a fucking head off.
See, I always got YouTube comments saying that I talk too much about John being a murderer, but the movies won't shut up about it either. I mean, everyone involved,
It's
from Bell to the
true.
filmmakers, understand that the character is a hypocrite.
You
Yes.
can hide behind this moral code that you seem to have, or
Yeah.
you think you have, but you are the one that's designing these traps. You're the one that's pushing the buttons.
Amanda thinks Parker is a risk, but John reminds her that everything he's ever done has always gone perfectly according to plan. Which, you know what, is true. Because of her sympathy for Gabriella, Amanda moves Mateo up to the head of the lesson line. Lucky for him, he's got his substitute teacher in the form of Billy the Puppet!
Yay, Billy!
Oh, shit, he riding! I mean, it's taken the little guy a minute, but
Yeah.
he'll squeak there eventually. There we go. And he's got a little cassette
Love
tape,
his
too.
inclusion.
Hugarme me, Mateo! Okay, or don't, and get shocked. Totally up to you, dude.
Hello, Mateo.
Yeah, thought so. Mateo's game requires him to use a camera pointed at his scalp to cut out gray matter from his brain and deposit it into a jar. Are you kidding me? John,
Yep,
you're gonna
that's-
tell a guy to carve his own brain like a Thanksgiving turkey? That
Yes!
is insane, man. Insane in the membrane. Just like Valentina did.
Insane
Mateo
to
wastes
have no
the first
brain.
good minute of his time on the clock. After that, he puts Drill the skull and cracks his little egg open live on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, this is must-see TV. Don't close your eyes so much, man. You're missing all the yolk. After exposing his brain, he starts, oh god, fishing out folds like he was trying to grab the last udon noodle with some chopsticks. He successfully
So
grabs
hard
a
to
big
watch.
worm-looking piece of brain meats, but unfortunately, the trap doesn't end there. It's got to dissolve enough so its enzymes can reveal a key. Yeah, no way is he making it out of this alive.
No,
Sure
no.
enough, the timer ends and the shawarma mask slams shut. It's not that graphic of a kill by Saw standards,
can't really
but
see it.
still plenty disturbing, and uses Telelock for the mask and a callback to Diego's tour. And the kill is still plenty disgusting for Parker.
You guys are fucking sick.
Yes, sick with cancer and moral righteousness. For Mateo's brain teaser, a fully practical dummy head was made of actor Octavio Hinojosa. He stood right beside it as he fished for lobes like a championship round of Gooey Louie. The traps in Saw X were built through collaboration. Most were designed by the writers, storyboarded by Kevin Greutert, and brought to life by production designer Anthony Stabley and a team of Mexican crew workers. And all that's just to get them made. Then you've still got to film a movie with them.
Once you get into a trap, you're dealing with special effects, prosthetics, VFX, production design, lighting ultimately, and cinematography, and all of those elements have to, come together.
For his part,
Yeah, and I feel like if they don't come together in that one take, then they have to spend all that more time and money trying to recreate it.
Matthews highlighted each trap with distinct colors and lighting, and used awesome camera moves like spinning it around on a lambda head. Billy
So
wants to play
cool.
with Gabriella now.
I love that.
No. Aw, she doesn't wanna.
No,
Gotta
don't
do
wanna
it, though.
play.
She starts floating into the sky like a magical fairy princess. Well, like a fairy princess stuck in shackles. Her task is to use a hammer to break her wrist and ankle free from the shackles. If she doesn't, she risks spending too much time exposed to this giant fan?
Radiation machines are not to be trifled with.
What, really? A super cancer gun? What the fuck, John? Gabrielle
Yeah,
starts working
you
on her
went that
ankles so
hardcore.
she can hopefully just swing out of the way. Unfortunately, her Tarzan plan doesn't work, since John programmed the radiation machine with perfect comedic timing. She keeps at it while she's getting fried, with each strike accompanied by what sounds like video game hit indicators. I feel like I just sank 5 cannonballs into the enemy ship. Gabriella's was the most physically complicated rig for a trap, and required constant testing all the way up until the shoot day. Under the supervision of stunt coordinator Daniel Salazar, actress Renata Vaca shared this harness stunt with a double. She would do the forward-facing shots, then come down to get progressively crispier layers of burn makeup applied, while a stunt performer was taken up and filmed from behind. Most of the
they
movie's
did a
effects
really
are
great job here,
practical,
too.
with VFX being used to do things like paint out the rig's support cables. As her skin really starts to sizzle, Gabriella breaks her wrist and wins the game. True to John's word, the machine turns off, and he tells Amanda to get Gabriella to a hospital. But this is when Parker breaks his rule and grabs his gun. Turns out he's with Cecilia.
Whoopsie!
That Snake rewards him with some slippery tongue action. He unlocks Cecilia, who's eager to get revenge on Amanda and John. They direct John to put himself into his own trap and lose this dog collar match.
New game. It's called We Live, You Die, Fuck You.
Oh, come on. A game like that'll never carry a franchise for 9
Nope, definitely not.
John still wants to get Gabriella some help, but Cecilia says it's already game over for the girl and snaps her neck. With all her accomplices dead, she and Parker will get a bigger cut of the cash. Amanda doesn't approve of Gabriella's murder. We only microwaved her insides. What you did crosses a line.
Yeah, I mean, she still had that connection with her before.
I love
From
Sonova
before.
Cody Lund's performance here as Cecilia celebrates bringing down Jigsaw. She's awesome throughout the whole movie and makes for a great villainess with the sick glee she takes dressing down John. Lund was cast after Groydert saw her on the Norwegian show Ragnarok, and she was thrilled to work alongside Tobin Bell.
Good show.
Tobin Bell is a legend. You get a bit starstruck, actually, when you meet him the first time.
Cecilia sees that this trap was built for 2, but has an eviler idea than strapping Amanda in. Bring me the child! Since the audience would know John and Amanda can't die, Carlos was created specifically to raise the stakes, and even Jigsaw thinks that's messed up.
A terrible, unforeseen consequence.
Yeah, because he's
Cecilia
innocent.
continues to tear into John as she uses his own logic against him.
If you let him die, it's all on you.
I mean, if you're being consistent, dude, she's kinda got a point. She's not wrong just because she's evil.
Oh, come on, John. Do the scary voice. I'd like to play a game.
Evil and mean. Wow, she's so mean. John uses his limited Spanish to tell Carlos not to pull the lever.
No holla.
Parker starts the trap, which
So, cool thing about that little scene right there is when he meets up with him earlier in the movie, the kid teaches him how to say, pull or don't pull, and that's a little bit of foreshadowing. So it shows you, like, okay, there's nothing to say about what sort of Spanish he knew before this movie, but at least he knows that, and it's believable here because of it.
victims pulled flat by chains on a table attached to the Lionsgate logo.
It's all about the little things.
It lifts them up to a pair of giant nozzles that will make them pioneers in a new extreme sport.
Bloodboarding.
John pulls his lever, tipping his end back and slowly drowning himself in Dracula juice. But Carlos takes the heat off him at the last second. Kid must have really loved that bike. Soon as John catches his breath, he
In
taps
that
back in
conversation.
for a fresh coat. Yo, where'd he even get this much blood on such short notice? Like all traps, the bloodboarding was practical and worked as advertised, and was designed to look like it'd be at home in the earlier films.
So you see a lot of oxidized metal. You see components that you believe John Kramer's going to be able to actually construct.
That's a welcome change from Jigsaw, which supposedly takes place before the other movies, but uses technology that seems newer, kind of a Star Wars prequel effect. It's easy to avoid that here since they shot in an old glass factory. It didn't have plumbing or electricity, but it did come with some pre-existing production design.
We had a lot of really strong sort of hardcore machinery that was here already. They let us oxidize that and make it look as if it was all rusted.
Cecilia and Parker have seen enough, but as they collect their loot in the control room, Parker points out a potential plot hole with John's latest trap.
But if you were the last player, who was supposed to be on the other side of that plank with you?
Oh,
I
shit,
wonder.
I think I feel a Hello Zep coming on the soundtrack.
Uh-oh. It's only a matter of time.
That's the stuff. You know shit's getting serious when we hear that track. Flashbacks show Diego had already told John that Parker was an accomplice. Amanda intentionally left Cecilia's phone within reach, kind of, so Cecilia would use it to call Parker there for help. After he arrived and was knocked out, John took the powder out of his bullets, replaced the bag of cash with scathing Excel spreadsheets, and rigged the room to fill with poisonous gas. These jackholes have been acting like they beat Jigsaw.
Never realizing that you have been the marks all night long.
While they deal with that twist, Amanda lets John and Carlos out of their trap. The grifters predictably turn on each other and have a jagged metal fight for the only fresh air socket. Cecilia comes out on top when she stabs Parker in the gut and lets the poison gas boil him like a stovetop hot dog. John and Amanda give Carlos all of Cecilia's ill-gotten gains.
You are a warrior, my boy.
Hope that's enough to cover a lifetime of therapy. The survivors walk into the sunrise, leaving Cecilia Peterson alive? Wait, what the fuck? That's how it ends? I get that there are rules, John, but she's the evil mastermind. Should have torn her ass up like a
Piranha.
We do get one last round of justice in the mid-credits scene with a faker who started it all, Henry Kessler. He finds himself and his scarless tum-tum strung up in horror's most famous bathroom. He's here thanks to Detective Mark Hoffman, one of Jigsaw's apprentices and main killer of Saw's, what were they, 4 through 7? Damn, he had a run. Earlier in Saw X, we saw John call him for help.
Detective, I could use your assistance in locating some people that are in need of our services.
Hoffman tracked down Henry Kessler, brought him here, and ends the movie using 2000 slang.
I call that epic bad luck.
How many pre-kills did John Kramer rack up in this prequel? Let's find out and get to the number.
No!
Hey, Who are you? Why are you trying to get to the numbers?
It's James H. Denise!
It's my job!
Lie to me again and I'll empty this chamber into your eye!
No, I'm not lying!
It's
my
James!
Name's James H. Denise! I've been crapping jokes about horror movies since I title card a lot!
Yeah!
Alright, it's fine. You're safe. Come with us to the numbers.
That seems entirely unnecessary.
Yep.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Hey, Zord, how you doing?
Only 4 people died in Saw X, consisting of 2 men and 2 women, giving us this even Esteban pie chart. If you compare it to the rest of the series, it's a new low, with 2 fewer kills than Saws 1 and 5. Saw X had a franchise high when it came to its runtime of 118 minutes, which worked out to a kill on average every 29.5 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Valentina because of all the moving, bleeding parts.
Oh,
the trap
yeah.
is great, the performance is great, the gore is great, everything's great. Don't Machete for lamest kill goes to Parker Sears because suffocation and a little acne isn't all that bad compared to losing limbs and or brain matter.
True.
As is tradition for Saws, I'll also be awarding the traps. Platinum Punji Sticks for coolest trap goes to the hospital custodian's magic eye.
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
See 'em? Now you don't see much of anything. There's a reason they use this thing in all the advertising. Rusty Mousetrap for lamest trap goes to Gabriella's weaponized chemotherapy. Even if you win, best case scenario, you're disfigured. Worst case, you also have cancer. That's fucked up, John. And
Sure is.
also, as is tradition, I need to give this sequel a subtitle to help it stand out. Can't just have a Roman numeral, you know? So let's call it Saw X, Los Juegos de Jigsaw. And that's it. Saw X came out to the best reviews of the franchise and grossed over $100 million on a budget of just $13 million. Franchise producers Mark Berg and Oren Coles already have ideas in mind for Saw 11, which will hopefully follow this film's direction. Until next time, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Hey, everybody!
That would be great because I thoroughly enjoyed this Saw movie. I know it's recency bias, but this has got to be one of my favorite Saw movies that I've ever seen. I'm not really ready to not ready to say that it's the best one because I haven't seen the others in years. So it's definitely up there. I feel like top 3, top 4, maybe, just because, you know, you feel sympathy for the guy. They bring back all these things that you remember, and we kill just the most evilest of people who really truly deserved it, and it was so good. And just when they made us think that something is amiss here, why are they getting control of the situation over him, How did all these things, how are they gonna get out of this one? And then as soon as she pulls the money bag, it's like, oh, well, there it is right there. Then that's when everything gets explained, and it's like, oh, this is where the movie really, really shines. It always shines in those moments to where you think people like that get one over on him, but do you really? Do you really? I mean, I know he died in an earlier movie, but again, you know, do they really get one over on him? I certainly don't think so. So that will do it for me here. Comment down below. Let me know, what did you think about Saw X? Please leave a like if you enjoy. Please check all those links I have for you down in the description below. And lastly, and most importantly, I want to give a huge shout out to all my $5 and up supporters on Patreon. Cruising over 310, Jordan Bird, Kester Cronich, Amber K, Raymond Bright, Chris Curtis, Haley Machinardi, Ann Perry, Larka, Fox Cacophony, Dancing Viru, Morgan Page, Ania Silva, Christian Siebold, Marcus Florence, and Alfred Frioli. And I'll see you guys next time.